So I've showed you a lot of Google extensions, but I did want to highlight one add-on, which most people are starting to hear about this now, but not everyone has used it. So even if you know about it, maybe you haven't yet explored it and used it in your classroom. And this add-on is called Pear Deck. And Pear Deck makes your Google Slides presentations more engaging and more interactive. I know for me, I teach high school history, and so a lot of times when I'm doing lectures and the students are taking notes, kids tend to zone out. That's probably a problem in every classroom where there's lecture and note taking. But Pear Deck allows you to insert questions or other things that will get the students to respond to something during the presentation. And so if you are in Google Slides, if you don't already have the add-on, if you go here to the toolbar to add-on and then get add-ons, you can look up Pear Deck. I already have Pear Deck, and so I'm just going to click that and open Pear Deck add-on. So what's really cool about Pear Deck is that there are lots of different ways that you can ask students a question. You can add choice questions, such as true, false, what you will see on the student device. And this is really cool, at least for this tutorial, so that you can kind of see what you would see on the projector versus what the students would see on their computer. So you can see, you can ask them a true or false question. On the left, that's how it would look on the student device. On the right, that's how it will look on the classroom projector. And so you as the teacher can quickly gauge whether or not students understood a concept that you were teaching. So it's very easy to insert the multiple choice options or the true false options. Another thing is a draggable option. You can gauge how students are feeling about something. You can also, this is really good for history, you can use it to get students to drag their little dot, their icon, to a certain location. If you want to make sure that students know, if you're talking about World War II in Europe and you want to make sure students know where Germany is, you can have a question that says, drag your icon to Germany. You'll quickly get to see all the little icons and where students think it is. So I will show you some of the things that we have. This is a Google Slides presentation that myself and two other Google stars presented to the staff at South Granville. We were doing a book study on differentiated classroom, and so we took chapters 4 and 5 and kind of created this presentation, but we used Pear Deck to also show them that add-on as well. And so if we just click Start Lesson, choose your lesson mode, instructor paced or student paced. And that is really good as well, because Pear Deck student paced mode is going to allow students to get all of the power of the Pear Deck engagement working at their own pace, whereas instructor pace means that you're connected with your students in real time and we guide them through the lessons. So I'm going to use instructor paced just for the sake of this tutorial. So what the students will do, so this would be displayed on your classroom screen, and the students will go to joinpd.com and they will put in this code. And once they are connected to this particular presentation, you'll start to see when it says how many students are connected. So I'm going to join this Pear Deck session on my phone just so we can move through these slides. All right, so you can see at the bottom, it says 1 student connected. I am that 1 student. And you can wait for all of the class to join, or you can just join and everyone else kind of has to catch up. But at least this way, you know, if you wait for all the kids to join, you know that your whole class is where they need to be. And so that is a really good feature. So we're going to start class, and you present just like you would a regular PowerPoint presentation. So I'm just going to scroll through to get to the Pear Deck parts. So it's a regular presentation, slides with information, graphics, that kind of thing. But then you can add in these particular questions from Pear Deck. And this one says leadership in the classroom can and should be shared with learners. And the students, if you do instructor paced, they have no choice but to be on this screen. They can't skip ahead. They can't stay on the screen before. So they're forced to answer this question, and you can check to make sure all students have answered before they move on. So let's go through and find another one of the Pear Deck features. So students will write their response. So which of the 10 pieces of wisdom about students do you think is the most important to keep in mind each day? And the cool thing about the presenter's view is down here at the bottom, you can click show responses, and it will show you all the student responses on your computer screen. Another really neat feature is the lock screen feature. You can click lock screen, and that locks the responses for that slide. So I'm typing in an answer here, just typing nothing, show responses. And you'll see they come up as little thought bubbles here. Obviously mine is just gibberish just to show you what it does. All right, let's scroll and find another one. Okay, so this is another option. There's 2 questions here. Students can draw anywhere on this slide. So this one is really neat. Students actually can draw on this. I just drew a heart and a star. And of course, when you click show responses, it's going to show everyone's responses all together, jumbled up here. So depending on what the question is, you might not want to use that. But the students, if they don't want to physically draw it, they can also insert a text box and they can type their answer. So you can see that came up as well. So you can even insert little breaks into your presentation if you have a really long Google Slides presentation and want to give the students a little break. You can insert these slides. So you're gonna, for this one, you will drag the dot. And this question says, do you create your lessons with a clear learning goal for your students, always or never? So the students will have a little dot that they will drag. And once they do that, show responses. I dragged mine to always so you can see it. So this is another one where you will write your response, brainstorm ways to use the previous list to differentiate assessments for your students. Again, you would type that answer, and then you would be able to look at all of their responses. So this is another one, summarize what you've just learned. This again would require students to answer the question, to type in a response, and you can very, very easily and quickly kind of gauge, did students get what was happening? Now this is the one I was mentioning about drag your dot to how you are feeling. Keep going, I understand, I'm a little confused, stop, I need help. So the students will drag their dot. You can see I put my blue dot here in the middle. So this can allow you to kind of quickly gauge where the students are at as far as their comprehension of what it is you're teaching. So this is another one where the students can draw or type 2 things you learned in today's lesson. And also reflect on the technology that was used. It's a little grid here, and they can draw or type anywhere in this grid, and you can see their responses. And so that is that's what it would look like as far as when you are presenting it in class. You can see here there are lots of different options. You can add audio to a slide. There are tutorials on here about the add-on and how Pear Deck works. There, of course, are some features that are limited to the paid version, but I use the free version, and it's worked fine for me. Some teachers get the paid version because they want to access all of the features, but I use the free version, and it has worked for my presentations in class. So I hope this short little tutorial gave you a little idea of how Pear Deck works and how you could use it in your classroom for your Google Slides presentations. And I hope that this is something that will engage your students, keep them attentive during instruction, and also help you as the teacher see where your class is in real time as you are presenting new information.